Billy didn't get onto television in New York that night, but he did get onto a radio talk show. There was a radio station right next to Billy's hotel. He saw its call letters over the entrance of an office building, so he went in. He went up to the studio on an automatic elevator, and there were other people up there waiting to go in. They were literary critics, and they thought Billy was one too. They were going to discuss whether the novel was dead or not, so it goes. Billy took his seat with the others around a golden oak table with a microphone all his own. The master of ceremonies asked him his name and what paper he was from. Billy said he was from the Ilium Gazette. He was nervous and happy.
If you're ever in Cody, Wyoming, ask for Wild Bob.
Billy put his hand up at the very first part of the program, but he wasn't called on right away. Others got in ahead of him. One of them said it would be a nice time to bury the novel now that a Virginian, 100 years after Appomattox, had written Uncle Tom's Cabin. Another one said that people couldn't read well enough anymore to turn print into exciting situations in their skulls, so that authors had to do what Norman Mailer did, which was to perform in public what he had written. The Master of Ceremonies asked people to say what they thought the function of the novel might be in modern society, and one critic said,
"To provide touches of color in rooms with all white wars.
To describe blowjobs artistically.
To teach wives of junior executives what to buy next and how to act in a French restaurant."
And then Billy was allowed to speak. Off he went into that beautifully trained voice of his, telling about the flying saucers and Montana wild hack and so on. He was gently expelled from the studio during a commercial. He went back to his hotel room, put a quarter in the Magic Fingers machine connected to his bed, and he went to sleep. He traveled back in time to Tralfamadore.
Time traveling again.
It was artificial evening in the dome. She was breastfeeding her child.
You've been time traveling again. I can always tell. Where did you go this time? It wasn't the war. I can tell that, too.
New York.
The Big Apple. That's what they used to call New York.
Uh-oh.
You see any plays or movies?
No, I walked around Times Square some. Bought a book by Kilgore Trout.
Lucky you.
She did not share his enthusiasm for Kilgore Trout. Billy mentioned casually that he had seen a part of a blue movie she had made. Her response was no less casual. It was Tralfamadorian and guilt-free.
Yes, and I've heard about you in the war, about what a clown you were, and I've heard about the high school teacher who was shot. He made a blue movie with a firing squad.
She moved the baby from one breast to another because the moment was so structured that she had to do so. There was a silence.
They're playing with the clocks again.
Rising, preparing to put the baby into its crib. She meant that their keepers were making the electric clocks in the dome go fast, then slow, then fast again, and watching the little earthling family through peepholes. There was a silver chain around Montana Wild Hack's neck. Hanging from it between her breasts was a locket containing a photograph of her alcoholic mother, grainy thing, soot and chalk. It could have been anybody. Engraved on the outside of the locket were these words: God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom always to tell the difference.